show we patriotism. For we country facing, its dark is sour. So our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, it have one little thing that I want you always remember. We could make it if we try, just a little harder. If we just get one more try, life would be much sweeter. From the time we analyze just what was the problem, yes, we start making very positive moves to solve them. We fire the old set on managers we had working, and it's a new group we went and we bring in. And if the goods we require, them new managers not supplying. When election time come back wrong, it's new ones we bring in. But if it's one thing about my people, I could guarantee that they would never ever put party before country. And our country facing is dark, is sour, and our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, it have one little thing that I want you always remember. We could make it if we try, just a little harder. If we just give one more try, life would be much sweeter. The treasury was full and happy time some was enjoying. It's in over and Laventine poor people was living. Now the treasury flat and the country come back to square one. Poor people remain on the same old ghetto in dungeon. But look at the economy return today on some footing. If the same poor people 10 days and cola they're taking. And without social unrest, poor people paying the price, because they know for the country nothing too much to sacrifice. And if the country facing is dark, is power, so our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, it have one little thing that I want you always remember. We could make it if we try, just a little harder. If we just give one more try, life would be much sweeter.
All right, testing. Okay. All right, I think Ezra, we ready? All right, we ready. I'm getting an echo, hold on.
We are live.
Oh. Okay, all right. I think we're good now. All right, I think we're good now. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. Ezra, we're on, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Wonderful. Good to see you all here. And those on the YouTube channel viewing who may be coming through the Anglican High School Pupils Facebook page. Thank you. Welcome. It's a wonderful evening to bring a very important topic here with us. And we appreciate you spending this time to come in on and share this with us. But before we get started, we always have to give thanks to the Lord. So Ezra, we'll start with your announcement. And
Okay, so we have the opening prayer by Miss Penelope Griffith. Miss Griffith left the Anglican High School in 1978. She's currently the pastor of a non-denominational church in the Washington, D.C. area. In addition, she's a mental health therapist with her own private practice and a director of a non-profit social service organization in the DC area. So we now have Miss Griffith to open us in a word of prayer.
unmute, Lisa.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Can we please bow our heads? Father, we thank you so much for grace and mercy and for favoring us to be here and to be alive today. God, we thank you most of all for life, health, and strength. And we praise you for your goodness, because without you, we could not have done and be where we are today. Lord, we lift up this meeting tonight. We lift it up in the name of Jesus, because where there's good things going on, you are in the midst of it. And so we ask, oh God, as we come together in the name of Jesus, that our hearts and mind will be knit together as one, and we will focus on what is on your heart tonight. And that when we leave this meeting today, dear God, you will be pleased and you will be glorified and you will be praised, oh God, for the good work that's ahead. Lord, bless the minds that come together and help us, oh God, to know that you are in charge and you favor us tonight in Jesus' name. Amen.
Okay, thank you very much, Lisa. To remember to mute and mute Monday. Okay, thank you all. We're going to go to introduce the panelists tonight, this afternoon. We have our lead here would be Dr. Wendy Grenade. She's a senior lecturer in political science at UWI Caveville campus, Barbados. Then we have on here Mr. Russell John, who is the deputy principal of the Anglican High School. Then Miss Jada Glean, who is a recent AHS graduate. So welcome to the AHS Past Pupil family, Jada. Thank you. And she was the head prefect for the 2020-2021 school year. We thank you. Finally, we have Miss Kamika Donald, also past pupil, class of 2017, former head prefect, and she's currently a third-year student at UWI Caveville campus in Barbados, pursuing a BS in economics and law. So at this point, we thank them for being here for this great discussion we're going to have shortly. And Ezra, turn over so that we get down to the next aspect before we get there.
We are going to play the video that was featured at our 100th anniversary celebrations, if you all would remember, by Dr. Grenade. So we had a video featuring that call to action topics that was mentioned by Dr. Grenade. So we will play that video so you all could remember what was said back then.
Please intro that video again.
Students of the Anglican High School within Grenada and the diaspora to create a series of transnational support groups. For example, on topics such as women and financial literacy, just to name a few. Let us consciously utilize common platforms as women to reach across diverse divides, party political divides, racial and class differences, for instance, to empower and support one another. Additionally, many of us have done relatively well financially. I encourage us to use our finances as gifts to support the school building project. I also call on us to use our finances to invest in the current student body. I call for an AHS Alumni Scholarship Fund, if there is not yet one. An AHS Alumni Book Grant Scheme, if there is not yet one. And an AHS Alumni Adopt a Child Program, financially adopting a child. Where do we begin, you may ask? I propose that one of the outcomes of this reunion could be the establishment of a special committee to propose concrete ways in which we can initiate and finance some of the proposals outlined above. This will be the ultimate test of our ability to give back to the school that has given so much to so many of us. Finally, I wish to turn our attention to the current AHS students, and I hope they are.
Thank you very much. At this time, we'll now turn on to Dr. Grenade, who will give her remarks.
Thank you, Ezra. Thank you, Sue. And welcome to the AHS family in Grenada and across the miles. We are happy that you can join us this afternoon for this very important conversation. I want to acknowledge my fellow panelists, the Deputy Principal of the school, Mr. Russell John, Jada Glean, a former high school student, and Kimika Donald, a former high school student. I really want to thank Sue and Ezra and all the others for calling us to action. You know, in the Caribbean, we like a lot to talk, and we don't really act on a lot of what we've set out to do. In fact, we have an implementation paralysis and lack of action. And I really appreciate the fact that Sue and Ezra and the others said, you know what, we met in 2016 and we said there's some things that we can do. What have we done in 5 years? This is a point at which we reflect on what has happened in the last 5 years and in fact, chart a way forward for what could happen down the road. I want to, even before we get into the discussions, to acknowledge those in Grenada who may have lost loved ones or sympathies to them, to those who are hospitalized, and to people of Grenada. We know that there is community spread now and there's a serious crisis. When we look at the statistics from August 17th, we had 5 cases. And by September 10th, we had 1,791 cases. So it's serious what is happening in terms of the impact, not just the impact of the health crisis itself, but the parallel economic crisis. So we are having this conversation in a particular context. So we want to be able to look at the Anglican High School, but we want to acknowledge that the Anglican High School is in a wider community. So the purpose of the session this afternoon is to have a meaningful conversation geared to some tangible outcomes, financial and non-financial outcomes. Now we have to be mindful that in setting goals, we cannot set unrealistic goals. It's better we do a little and do it right than try to set lofty goals that we can't achieve. So let's think about meaningful and impactful ways that we can give back to the Anglican High School, financial and non-financial contributions. Now, coming out of the 100th anniversary, you heard the clip earlier, that was in 2016. I had offered 7 action pillars. AHS Alumni Think Tank on Education Reform, Second was the gift of mentorship. Third was transnational support groups. Fourth was an AHS alumni book grant scheme. Fifth was an AHS alumni adopt a child program. And 7 was an AHS alumni scholarship fund. I want to suggest that we sort of ignore for the moment the first pillar, the think tank on educational reform. This could be in the long term because it would require other actors to be involved. But we want our engagement with the school to be demand-driven and bottom-up in as far as is possible. So we are happy to have with us Mr. Russell John, the Deputy Principal of the Anglican High School. And I want to acknowledge the other teachers of the school who may be here. I see some of them are on the call. We want to acknowledge you, acknowledge all the support staff that are here with us this afternoon. So at this point, I want to invite Mr. Russell John to just give us a status update. It's a conversation we're having. And just to inform the audience how we would proceed, we would have a conversation. So Mr. Russell John would speak about what's happening at the school where the needs are. Then Jada Glean would speak from a student's perspective. Then Kimika Donald and I would speak about the benefits of the Adopt a Child program. Once we've done that, then we'd open the floor and we'd have a conversation about realistic and impactful ways that we can take 2 or 3 of those pillars and form clusters so that we can give back to the school at this critical time. So I want to, at this point, invite Mr. Russell to give us an update. Mr. Russell John, tell us if you had to prioritize some critical areas for engagement, what would those areas be? Give us a sort of overview, a sort of situational analysis of the school within the last 5 years, and how can we help? Mr. Russell John.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Grenade. And of course, good afternoon to the members of the panel and to those of you who are tuning in. A special shout out to my AHS girls. I must say greetings from our principal, Miss Paris. She would have loved to be here at this panel discussion this evening. In fact, she's been buzzing about it for quite a while. Unfortunately, she's not well at this point, and so I am here in her stead. In terms of the Anglican High School over the last 5 years, and perhaps the last year being the most critical, because the last year has been the year that the school has been the most challenged as a body. Overall, good things are happening at the school. I can speak in terms of the academic performance. Over the last 5 years, we've seen an incremental increase in our external performance at CSEC, moving from somewhere about 65% pass rate to the latest being just about 70% of our students attaining their CSEC passes. So things are happening at the school. I think there is much more that can be happening. And I'm really happy to hear that
in progress.
Past pupils have decided to mobilize. So I want to thank those of you who have been pushing this and who are going to respond to the call to action. Because as Ms. Grenade has pointed out, there are definitely some areas where we see the past pupils coming on board with us. And we also have a principal who is very much about people. Ms. Paris is very people-oriented. And so I know that she doesn't just want the past pupils to come on board so that we can get from them, but also that we can give to them so that we can support the businesses that are coming up, so that we can celebrate the achievements of our past pupils as well. So in terms of the joining of hearts and hands that I see happening here, I can definitely put on a hierarchy of sorts the things that we're going to need over the coming year. Now, it costs roughly about $116,000 to run the school on a year-to-year basis. That cost has increased over the last year, particularly because we have had to step in to assist some more people over the 2020 year. Normally we'd run about, say, $2,700 in transportation assistance, because there are some students that we have that just, they may have ability, but they don't have the funding to get to school on a daily basis. And so annually, we usually contribute about $2,700 towards transportation assistance. This past year, that has moved all the way up to $3,300 minimum. And that's only considering formal arrangements where the school from the administration side is helping. But I know the staff that we have, and we have, and I can boast that we have one of the most caring staff in Grenada. I'll put that hands down. The Anglican High School is truly a family, and our staff don't necessarily come to admin when they want to assist a child. They will see a need and communicate with parents, and they would adopt a child immediately. So I know that beyond admin, beyond that $3,300 that we spent just in transportation assistance last year, I know that there were other students who were being assisted by teachers from the school in arrangements with their parents. In addition to that, and here I must say a major thank you to the past pupils who have collectively decided to contribute to the school. Last year, we were able to assist quite a number of students with paying their school fees. Normally, we would run roughly $2,350 and not school fees, sorry, but CSEC fees, paying to write their exams. And last year, we were able to bump that up to $8,000. And that was because of past pupils coming on board, forward thinking, and considering that the times that we're in, many of the parents may have lost employment. And so the past pupils decided to collect some funds, send it down, and they said, hey, identify students who are in need, and let's ensure that they don't have the headache of how am I going to pay exams. And so we were able to touch quite a few households and quite a few lives through that. And I'm definitely looking forward to being able to up the ante in those kind of areas. One final thing that I'd like to touch on, and perhaps we can circle back later, but one final thing I want to touch on is the fact that our internal performance at the school tends to mirror our external performance at CSEC. And we like to celebrate with the school when we get the CSEC passes and so. But in order to get there, there's 4 years of work that has to go in there. And that 4 years of work cannot be done without support. And our teachers give a lot. Our teachers give a lot, and they do as much as they can. But we have a student body of roughly 630 girls annually. Some years we spike as high as 685. This year we're at about 610. But it's definitely over 600 girls. Every year we have a staff of 45. Even if each staff decides to take 3 children, we still can't reach every single person at the school. But I can guarantee you that if we had support, a person to look up to, a figure that we can point to, that we can sort of just take under the wing, take a student under his or her wing and say, hey, this is how I made it through school. This is a potential path you can take. What's stressing you out right now? This is how I got through studies. Just a sort of mentorship type relationship where we can pour into the lives of our young ladies and we can see them go on to do really excellent things. I'll close with this recent example. I was speaking to a Form 4 student this year who, when we started chatting about what she intends to do after she's finished with her studies at Anglican High, she mentioned a field of employment that I've never heard a student call before. She mentioned mechanical engineering, specifically in the field of automotive technology. And it's the very first time I've heard a student say anything about automotive technology. And I asked her what sparked that. It turns out that form along with a few other students, were exposed to one of our past pupils, Roselle Grant, who's in that field. I think she's in Germany right now. And out of that, this child's mind has been expanded in terms of what's available. And now she is considering, how can I get from where I am now to this new potential point? And that, for me, is heartwarming. It's lovely. It's inspiring. And I know that we have high school girls plastered all over the world doing amazing things. And if we can connect them to the girls that we have here, then we can expand how they see themselves, how they see the school, and how they decide to go about achieving as young ladies in Grenada. So I'll pause here for now. I'll turn it back over to you, Dr. Grenada. But
Yes.
I'm definitely excited about what's going to happen over the next few years.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Russell John. I think we can show by our applause how much we appreciate what he has shared with us. And I think you have reminded us that the AHS is a family. It's a community. You spoke about the sort of performance of the students and the increase, and we really want to commend the principal and all the teachers and staff and the parents who have really played a part as well in the children's life. You mentioned about transportation and the assistance that the school does in fact provide, and teachers, and as a teacher myself, I know the extent to which teachers, and there are many teachers on the call here who, we serve as nurses and bankers and everything else with children. So we really know what you're talking about. So we are seeing a need in terms of a financial need. And I really want to say thanks to all of the members of the past pupil associations throughout the world who contributed, particularly last year, when some parents, became unemployed. Some people were self-employed and they were locked down and were not getting any kind of income. I really want to say thanks to all those who contributed towards the fees of the students. You also mentioned mentorship, and I agree that there are many people on this call in Grenada and in the diaspora who can be mentors, who can help to show how their pathway was and how they can inspire a young girl to achieve so much. I really want to pick up that whole mantle of mentorship. So when we have the open session, we would want to have a framework that we are working with, and we have some forms that we would put in the chat. We have it online that you can fill out and say, I am interested in adopting a child. I am interested in mentorship. And we want a framework of action coming out from this so that we can show in tangible ways how we would go forward. But you mentioned something that I also want to pick up on, because giving should never be one way. And you said that the school wants to be able to contribute to businesses of past pupils. And last evening, we had a nice session, and we heard of past pupils who were doing marvelous things in terms of small businesses. And it's good if we can think of ways that the Anglican High School could be a partner, could be a marketplace to, in fact, help to support the businesses of former students. So if we keep in mind the principle that giving is two-way, giving is mutual, and it should be a mutual exchange, and it's never about a one-way road. And giving is not always financial, but we have identified some financial needs here and the whole question of mentorship. When we open the floor, I would invite, if there are other teachers here from the Anglican High School who may want to add, they will be free during the discussion period to, in fact, share with us ways in which they think that we can advance our engagement and partnership with the school. So thanks a lot, Mr. Russell John, and we'll come back to you during the question and answer period, if people have further queries and so that they would need clarified. Now, I want to invite Jada Glean. Jada is a very interesting young lady. I met her at the Anglican High School, I think it was in 2018. I did a presentation on the Grenada Revolution, and we had an interesting conversation. And I know she has been very actively engaged in the media, speaking about constitutional issues and so forth and so on. One of our little stars. So I'm pleased to invite Jada Green to speak to us from a student's perspective. Tell us, where is the Anglican High School now, and how the past students could be more meaningfully engaged with our alma mater. Deeds, not words. Let's hear. Jada.
Good afternoon, everyone. Are you guys hearing me clearly? Right.
Very clear.
So Ms. Grenade and Mr. John, you guys actually opened the door for me, because I was actually going to speak on mentorship and the support that the Anakin High School gives to their girls. I actually had a breakdown of my 5 years in the Anakin High School. So if I quickly go through that. So for Form 1, I started with a white boots and had the greatest support of all. Form 2, I made long-lasting friends and had the greatest support of all. Form 3, I had the best form teachers. Mr. John would know what I'm talking about. And I had the greatest support of all. Of course, we know Form 4 is when COVID started, and still we had the greatest support of all. And Form 5, it was stress, but the Anglican High School always granted us the greatest support of all. So one of the things I've realized in my 5 years being at the Anglican High School, we have different types of girls. We have those, I remember we were having a discussion night before Miss Grenade, and we were speaking about the mainstream students who the teachers would call on us. So, and I've seen that throughout my 5 years in the Anglican High School, we have students that feel left out. This is one of the issues. When I became head prefect, I've had discussions and engagements with different students all around the school. And I realized that that was a major issue. Some of them felt like they were left out, they were neglected, because some teachers tend to depend on others more. And I would say that is not just at the Anglican High School, but because I've seen it, I can speak on it at the Anglican High School. So that issue of mentorship, that suggestion of mentorship, the gift of mentorship, I think it would be one of the most important things to implement at this time, especially when we started with COVID. COVID was a hectic time for a lot of us. I've had friends that have been through a lot throughout COVID. I myself went through a lot with COVID, and that support that we got from high school, that support that we got from teachers, that guidance, that provision that they made for us, they made available for us, that for me was what brought me through this whole journey, brought me to CXC to fulfill getting my passes or so. So I must say that we really need the mentorship program. We really need the gift of mentorship, because if you, I wanted to speak on the whole educational reform, because that also has they're dependent. Mentorship and education reform program, it is dependent, because we have students that feel like they're underachievers. I've discussed with them, they feel like they're underachievers. And yes, Anglican High School is known for their always high standards, especially academically, but we have students that are not able to reach their full potential. And if we have this one individual, we have this one person that we could look up to for guidance, to be there to tell us, well, okay, you can do it, for that encouragement, that will go a long way for our AHS students. So these are two of the main challenges that we have. Our idea that we suffer with underachievement, and the fact that we need this one person. It could be more than one, but we need this one person to be there to encourage. These are just two of the main challenges that I've seen and observed over the years.
Thanks a lot, Jada. We appreciate your perspective from the student body. And you said that you got the greatest support of all. You kept saying from 1, from 2, and right up. Even when it was challenging and difficult, you felt as if you were getting support. But you did remind us that there are different types of girls. People learn differently. And some students, in fact, sometimes feel left out. And we know that happens in all schools, but we're speaking about the Anglican High School. And you are suggesting that the gift of mentorship should be taken on board, because you see it as something that students could benefit from, particularly those who may be defined as underachievers, and maybe they're not really underachievers, but they're not finding that pathway to excel. Maybe they have a different way of learning, and the teaching and learning experience is difficult for them for whatever reason. And so we accept that the gift of mentorship is something that we would keep on the table. And that's a low-hanging fruit for us high school family. That's a very low-hanging fruit. If we all from this call, 43 of us on the call, if everybody says, you know what, give me one girl that I could speak to, and technology is beautiful. It enables us to find that platform so that we can check in on them and say, how are you doing? What are some of your challenges? And show them what success can look like in all its different manifestations. I think mentorship is a low-hanging fruit and we can pick it nicely. Yeah? So we'll come back to this. We thank you again, Jada, for sharing with us. And we want to wish you all the best as you begin your journey post-secondary school. We expect a lot from you. We know you and your parents to expect a lot from yourself. And we just wish that you soar and soar and soar. Always high standards. Good. Now, at this point, we would show a short video by Kimika Donald. Kimika Donald submitted this video, and it was supposed to be played last night when tributes were given. But Sue and the others said, no, that video should be played for this afternoon. So we now view that video, and then Kimika and I will have a short conversation before we open up for questions and answers. So let's go ahead to the video.
I extend warm greetings to all past and present students, the principal, teachers, and ancillary staff of the Anglican High School. This is Kimika Donald, a proud graduate of the class of 2017, a former head prefect and member of the RBC, RBTT Young Leaders, SU Knowledge Bowl, and Greenleg debate teams. Today, I express sincere gratitude to all those who would have contributed to my successful educational journey through the walls of the Anglican High School. My former classmates from the class of 2017 who made my 5 years at the Anglican High a most enjoyable experience. My former teachers and former masters from 2012 come right up to 2017. In particular, Ms. Judy Thomas, Mr. Russell John, and Mrs. Sarona Abraham, who would have been great mentors outside of the classroom, offering support and remaining committed to my development as an individual. My principal at the time, Miss Madeline Baptiste, whose words of guidance continue to steer my actions as I continue my journey through life. Engage your head before engaging any other part of your body, she would say. And Mr. Dunbar Mitchell, whose dedication and hard work as a groundsman during my time was just inspiring to look at. I thank you all for your contributions, regardless of how small and whether unbeknownst to you. I also give special mention to Dr. Wendy Grenade, host of today's session, my current life mentor and academic and non-academic advisor at the University of the West Indies, where I currently study. Thank you for answering your own call to action and offering me the gift of mentorship for the past 3 or so years. On that note, I encourage each member of the alumni to answer the call to action by positively impacting on the life of current and future Anglican High School students in whichever way possible. In true spirit of the Anglican High School, factor non-verbal, deeds not words, you can contribute to the nurturing of my fellow young women and a more fortified Grenadian society. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Kimika. Thank you. I would invite Kimika to speak about her story and her journey. She can add to what she has just said. Oh, Mr. Russell John, you have a comment? I see your hand is up. No, not yet. I want to say
that's after, just pride.
Pride, yes. Kimika, if you would allow me to say, after I did the keynote address in 2016, I said to the school, I want a very, very bright student who I could adopt financially. And they said, oh, Kimeka had just gotten 15 CSEC subjects and so forth and so on. And we started a journey back then. And I feel as if I've gained a daughter. And this is what the Anglican High School means to us. It's a sisterhood, it's a community, and it must be about intergenerational bonds and bridges over generations and over time. So I'm quite pleased to say that I really answered my own call to action in the person of Kimeka Donald, and I present her to you now to just add whatever she may want to add to that lovely video that she did. And thank you so much for your kind words.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Teachers, the past and present students present. I'm our host this evening, Dr. Wendy Grenade. I am indeed honored to be chosen to sit on this panel here today and share my experience as a mentee that has been born from the Anglican High School. To tell you the truth, I really don't remember where I was in 2016 when you gave the call to action. I know I was still a student at the Anglican High School, but I don't recall if I was present at the function where the call to action was given, or perhaps I was present and I was sitting in the audience talking to my friends when I should have been listening. But it was 2 years after that call to action when I was in the T.A. Marshall Community College, going into my second year. And I remember Miss Judy Thomas, of my past geography teacher at the Anglican High School. She was asking me, well, Kimeka, how come you didn't do CAPE for CSEC? CAPE for CXC, sorry. I mean, you performed so well at the CSEC level, and we were really looking forward to hearing you perform extraordinarily at the CAPE level. And I expressed to her the financial difficulties I was having at the time that did not allow me to sit the exams at the year 1 level. And shortly after, she came to me and she said, we have a past student of the Anglican High School who is really looking for a student who embodies what it means to be a true Anglican High School girl, to support and mentor in whatever way she can. And Miss Thomas said, you know, I'll give her a connection for you. You express your need and see what support she is willing to offer you. And at the time, I really thought I was only going to get support to do my first level CAPE examinations. But Dr. Grenade was willing to help me pay for the examinations for both the year 1 and year 2 level. And I did both of those examinations in 2019. And I never formally met her because she was in Barbados at the time at the University of the West Indies Cable campus where she works. And we would speak over the phone, we would message on Facebook, and we would keep in touch. But we never had a formal meeting. And it was only when I started school at the University of the West Indies in summer of 2019 that I was properly introduced to Dr. Grenade. And it's been 2 years. I'm currently in my 3rd year at the Cable campus. And I cannot even describe the level of support and encouragement that Dr. Grenade has contributed. I mean, I often, there's sometimes, you know, my mother and I often joke that, you know, Dr. Grenade is my real mother because of the serious bond that we have developed in such a short time. And even Dr. Grenade often says, you know, Kimeka, you're like the daughter I never had. And I honestly feel that connection with her because the encouragement she gives is not only at the academic level. In the video, you would have heard I mentioned that there was also non-academic support as well. And that is because Dr. Grenade really came down to a very humanitarian level, I should say. And she spoke about how life was for her growing up as a young girl. She spoke about her experience at the Anglican High School. She shared a lot of She shared a lot of her challenges and how she was able to overcome them in life. And it was through her opening up to me and allowing me to understand that some of the challenges that I've battled with for so many years, they're not unique to me. There are others amongst us who have experienced similar or even greater challenges that I've experienced, and they were able to overcome them. And she shared how she was able to navigate a lot of the challenges in her life, and I was able to learn from her how to overcome a lot of the issues I was battling with. And I mean, the support for the past 2 years, I'm extremely grateful for it. I feel like it has put me on a path that I did not know I could journey on. I mean, Dr. Grenade, she is a very inspiring lecturer. I often share with her comments other students would make on various online platforms where they comment her passion for the area she specializes in. And it's her passion in the way she speaks about not only her course of lecturing at the university, but various social aspects. It's her passion in the way she speaks about those issues that continues to draw me to her. And she always encouraged me to stay abreast with ongoing social issues, regionally, internationally. And she always encourages me to engage in fruitful discussion with my peers, to inspire them and to take the mentorship that I've gained from her and try to steer many of my peers in a similar direction. So, I mean, that's only the surface of what Dr. Grenade has done and what she means to me. And it's only the surface of what the mentorship program could mean to any other student of the Anglican High School. And I know that any other student would be grateful to benefit from such a great opportunity to be mentored by someone who has similar experiences as them, someone who perhaps is in a professional field that they are hoping to venture into, and could probably just give them some advice on how to navigate through life and to make the best of whatever resources are available to them. So I am really, really grateful for the Anglican High School mentorship program and to Dr. Grenade, because she could have preferred to mentor a student that was currently registered at the Anglican High School at the time. But I had already left the Anglican High School and I was at the T.A. Marish Community College. And she was still willing to extend support, and she has remained committed to my development from since we met in 2018. We're currently in 2021, and the support has not diminished. The encouragement has not halted, and our relationship continues to grow. So I thank the mentorship program, and I thank Dr. Grenade, and I thank Ms. Judy Thomas for the introduction to Dr. Grenade. It has really been a blessed past couple of years being a past student of the Anglican High School.
Thank you very much, Kimika. You almost have me in tears. I thank you very much. I thank you very much. And I want to say to all of you, Kimika is now a UE STAT ambassador. She is now the whether you're in terms of the Grenada Students Association at KVille, she's very much involved. Last year, she was a secretary. She's the outgoing secretary. Can you tell us what you are now in terms of the Grenada Association?
Okay, I'm currently the Cultural Entertainment and Activities Chairperson of our Student Association, but I'm also the acting secretary and the acting welfare officer until we host by-elections in the upcoming weeks.
Right. So I'm quite proud of her. And she knows that the mandate is she has to keep the GPA over 3. And it is, in fact, over 3. And I'm really proud of how she has grown. Kimika, you've really grown since I've met you. And you are, in fact, mentoring others. And I really want you to continue on that part, because giving is about multiplying. Somebody would sow into your life And then it is your responsibility to then continue to sow into somebody else's life. And that is how we would grow and we would develop and would pass one light from one generation to the next. So thanks for being in my life as well. You keep me thinking as young people do. So I know how to navigate in terms of how to guide and advise. Thank you very much. Jada, did I see your hand? Okay, so where we are now in the program, we heard Mr. Russell John, we heard Jada Glean, we heard Kimika Donna. We want to open up the floor now for general comments, but I want to kind of steer the discussion based on the framework that we're working with. We have some forms. We have a form, in fact, that we would want you to sign up. If you're interested in mentorship, if you're interested, I think that there's a clear and present danger in terms of the financial resources. So we want to speak about how can we raise some funds. Perhaps we can go by year, the class of 1983, the class of 1960, or the class of 2000. Do you want to mobilize among yourselves so that we could, October is when students generally pay fees for CSEC. So if we see that as something in terms of the call for action, if we put it under the scholarship fund, or I don't think we want to say a hardship fund, we could decide we need to be calling for suggestions, whether it's a hardship fund, a scholarship fund, and we would have committees coming out of this session that would spearhead each of the pillars. So we want to be able to speak about what ideas you have for how we could get some funds on the ground for our students who may not be able to afford. What criteria would we put in place in terms of, you know, should there be like high achievers or should it just be based on need? Now, that kind of discussion we would have in the sort of clusters when we form these clusters. So we have a cluster around funding. We have a cluster around mentorship, people who may be interested in that. Then there is an idea I want to put forward, because even as we think about the Anglican High School, we are mindful that the Anglican High School exists within Grenada, and we are mindful of the period that we are in. I want to suggest that we organize a psychosocial virtual session or sessions that would fall under what I had called back then transnational support groups. So if we have a psychosocial session, I'm sure we have social workers in Grenada and outside of Grenada, psychologists in Grenada, outside of Grenada, doctors in Grenada, outside of Grenada, that we can have a panel. Because right now in Grenada, our AHS family and the wider Grenadian family, people are frightened, people are scared, people are anxious, people are hurting, people are broken. Can we see that as part of what we can do for the AHS family and for the wider Grenadian family? I would like to hear your views on that. So we're thinking about the pillars. I'll repeat them again. It's about funding and scholarship, a book grant scheme, a mentorship drive, support adopted child program, and let's see what were the others. Could someone put them up in the chat so we have it clear? Yeah, and the think tank on education reform. I heard you, Jada. Is something that we have to think about, but I think we can look for the short term, the medium term, and the longer term. So we have the think tank in view, but we're thinking now the gift of mentorship, the transnational support groups. Many children and students perhaps need assistance in the virtual environment. Do we have any AHS family members among us in this group who could offer assistance? You may be retired and you're looking for someone that you can assist in terms of helping with their lessons, giving lessons virtually, as the case may be. Transnational support groups. The alumni book grant scheme. Can we think about an online library? Is that feasible? Is that for more the longer term? The adopted child program is a low-hanging fruit. The mentorship, a low-hanging fruit. The scholarship fund, a lower-hanging fruit. So I want to open up the floor at the moment for suggestions. And I want to invite any teacher here or staff member of the Anglican High School who would want to offer comments, suggestions, as the case may be. The floor is open. The chat is open as well. Feel free. Anyone, just raise your hand. You press on the mic, you raise your hand, and you make your contribution, and we take note of it. Let's see the hands come in high school. People are never shy, you know. The gift that the Anglican High School has given us a boldness. We've always been very bold and in your face. So among ourselves, we never shy. Yes, I see a hand.
Dr. Grenade, this is Penelope Griffith.
Yes, go right ahead. Thank you.
I don't remember the exact title of the trend something, but the social service support program that you mentioned, I truly would like to be part of that, to lend my expertise and support to that committee.
Right. Very good. So we have, if someone could be kind of making sure along with, is this being recorded? Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah.
So we thank you for this. You are a mental health specialist?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Very good. And a pastor as well?
Yes.
Right. We need those kinds of services now, because we in a situation that's very dire.
Yes.
Whether it's the school or the wider society, and I think we could within a month's time have a virtual session nationally, and led by the Anglican High School Alumni Association. We can be an activist force for change. Yes.
I would love to lend some of my expertise in training and family support virtually. Even doing group therapy for families online will be perfect for me as well. As well as for young people who want to go into the social service work in that field. I direct a nonprofit organization in the city in Washington, D.C. So that also I would like to share that information for those who are interested in the social work field.
Very, very good. Very good. We thank you for that. I saw a second hand. Is the name, what's it? I didn't quite get the name, but I see a hand. Pardon me?
Me.
Yeah, just go ahead. Say who you are and what year you graduated. I'm seeing hands, but I'm not seeing names. So, okay, just begin. Yeah, just say your name.
So I am Nicole Johnson James, and I'm the counselor at the school at the Anglican High right now. It's just a privilege to have this opportunity. I usually say, never allow a crisis to waste. And the pandemic is a crisis, whether it's the crisis that brought us together like this or the 105th anniversary, we are together. And what I'm hearing is really heartwarming. So I just wanted to speak quickly about the gift of mentorship and to say how much, what we heard from Kimika, how much this would be helpful to our girls. From where I sit, there are parents who are in the home, but they're not present for any number of reasons. And as a result, if some of our young ladies can get that mentor to motivate her, to push her to be the example, can make a big difference in some of the behavioral issues that we're experiencing at the school. There's somebody, I didn't quite get the person's name just now, who mentioned that they are a social worker. Well,
Griffith.
Sorry? I would love to connect with you because one of the challenge I am having as the school's counselor is a lack of resources to do evaluations, resources to do screens with the girls. So sometimes they come into therapy and the things that they need, I don't have because the government of Grenada doesn't provide. So I would have to get it for myself or the principal, the vice principal. I mean, thank God for them. As much as they can, they would help. But if I can get some help in that case, it would just go a long way to do testing and screening with our students. And I'll just stop here for now.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Johnson James. We thank you for the work that you are doing with our girls under very stressful conditions with limited resources. As a collective body, we want to say thanks and we want to encourage you to continue doing your best. But part of what we are about here this evening is about networks. So we have social workers on the call. We want at the end to have an email list of all of us with our professions, our email addresses, so that we can twin and align our interests. So that if you're the school counselor and you need, who does the counselor go to? Do you have a mentor? Do you have somebody that you reach out to after you've worked whole day listening to students' problems? So sometimes we could become empty when we ourselves have to give so much. So it's a good opportunity here. If we have a list of our names, where we are, our addresses, or email addresses, and we can twin and we can partner across the miles so that we can strengthen each other as a family. So thank you so much for that intervention. I saw another hand. Yes?
Wendy, a quick interruption, Susan here. Mm-hmm. The form that is on the AHS Passpuse website, put the website in the chat. Mm-hmm. If going to that form, even if they don't want to put in it, select any of the mentorship or the financial or psychosocial, there is an option for other. And at the bottom, they could enter, I want to be on the email list, because we will gather that information for those who want to get. So we have that form on the ahspasspupils.org. We will put it as well for everybody, both on YouTube and the Zoom.
Thanks a lot, Sue. And we have in the chat Hillary Delamotte, a bank vice president in New Jersey, would like to assist in raising funds. Hillary, you want to speak to us a little bit about that? And we could ask if you could perhaps spearhead that cluster so that we can get some funds together for October. Hillary? I just saw you, Hillary. Okay, well, Hillary is not. Hillary, are you there? Okay, so let's move on. Any other hand? I've seen a hand here. I'm not seeing your names. If everybody could put their name, it would have been easier. Okay, I'm seeing a hand here. Please go ahead, Camille. Yeah. Right. Camille Tompkin.
I'm trying to lower the volume on my TV, so if you hear background noise, I'm just watching football and I can't seem to work my remote. But I would like to, okay, I'm class of 1999, and I am actually doing my BA, well, completing my BA in early childhood education with a focus on childhood studies. So I would like to offer my services in the area of mentorship. With regards to the funding, I think the best and easiest way to raise funds is through donations. And in donations whereby past pupils make personal pledges in terms of assisting the students, and in reaching a wider range of past pupils, I would also suggest a GoFundMe, which would tend to reach a wider range of past pupils. I am in contact a lot with a lot of past pupils, and one of the things that they have, or one of the concerns that they have, is commitment. So it's like nobody wants to commit to something because it's time consuming, and everybody basically has a life and other things to take care of at the end of the day. So nobody wants to commit to doing certain things, but I know that if I reach out to certain people and I say, okay, I need money for X, Y, and Z, they are always willing to help. And then with the COVID situation, raising funds may not be the right way to go in terms of doing fundraisers, because then, I mean, sometimes the easiest way, you throw a barbecue, you have a luncheon, and now it's like everybody's 6 feet. So I believe in terms of raising funds, the easiest and best way is through personal donations. I think I saw Miss Paris on here, and Miss Paris knows that I'm good for it. And I always do what I have to do as a past pupil whenever I am called upon. So that is just my suggestion.
Thank you very much, Camille. So you've actually volunteered to lead the call for raising funds.
I'm not leading the poll.
You're not leading the call, but you've made some good suggestions. And it's true. In the COVID period, you can put the hand down now times. In the COVID period, it becomes difficult to do barbecues for fundraising. So the suggestion of a GoFundMe and the suggestion of just organizing among ourselves to raise personal funds. So we've taken note of this. And if you want to be part of the the financial committee, then we can, once you fill up the form, we take it from there. Now let's see any other hands. Remember, we have Bold and Brave Anglican High School. We have another what? When are we due to end? At 6:30, is it? So?
Yeah, we have up to 6:30. So
right. So we have just about 20-something, right, thanks, 20-something minutes. So any teacher in the school, besides the counselor, has any idea, suggestion? Okay, let's hear. I'm seeing, don't let me have to do like Miss Benjamin and call out names. I'm seeing some people that I know. Come on. We are not shy. Suggestions, ideas about mentorship, about networks, about a financial fund, adopt a child. Yeah? Suggestions, ideas. Mr. Russell John, any further comments as we are at this point? Anything else that you would want to add?
I do have a few things here that Ms. Paris did ask me to ensure that I convey to the past pupils and of course to you as well. So first things first, the teachers on our graduation committee wants to let our past pupils know that they are extremely grateful for the contributions that they make towards graduation. We are still the only school who has graduation in December. We're still the only school who does all white. We're still the Anglican high school, and you contribute to making that single night massive success. So they want to say thank you for that. Special thank you to Camille Tompkin. I've been hearing that name ever since I came to the Anglican high school. So we have to say a special thank you to her and the class of 99 for their assistance. They were the ones, I think, who raised the funds for CSEC fees last year. So a special thank you to them. We were able to hit just over 20 students. The New York alumni, they were able to contribute towards us getting a new risograph to photocopy so that we could do exams this year. We're absolutely in need of one of those, and they just stepped in. Major thank you for that. And at the onset of the pandemic, the class of 2006 came together and they immediately donated some of our sanitizing supplies and ensuring that we were able to keep the school functioning. And I know this is only a tip of the iceberg, but we do have to register how thankful we are for what you are currently doing and how much we're looking forward to continuing to work with the past pupils. I do want to endorse at this point the idea of that database of past pupils and where they are and what they're doing, because we really would love to be able to celebrate the successes of our students. You know, I mean, we don't want you to go through the 5 years and, you know, after that, you're extended family. You're still the Anglican high school family. And we do believe wholeheartedly in the idea of deeds, not words. And so I would love to see something like a time when we just come together, and these are the small businesses that Anglican high school girls have, and we just decide, hey, we're going to go support these businesses this weekend and these businesses next weekend. These are the girls who have done XYZ. They've had children, they've gotten married, they've achieved this level of success, they've gotten their GED or their bachelor's or their whatever, they've done something, and we want to be able to say, hey, congratulations, we're thinking of you. We're happy, we celebrate with you, so that we keep the idea of that family tight and close, and we continue to nurture the bond that we had while we were here as students as well. So we do encourage those of you on board right now, please drop your information to the link. Let's build the Anglican High School together.
Yes, thanks so much. There's some things in the chat that I would acknowledge. But what I'm hearing from you, I like. It's a spirit of community and gratitude. And you've thanked over and over again those who have contributed in 1999 class, those who contribute to graduation. And we really want to thank you for thanking those who do that. Because sometimes, especially, when we're in the diaspora, and so we say, you give and then you don't hear a thank you. So we don't at all take it for granted, and we want to thank you for the spirit of gratitude that we're hearing. In the chat, I'll come to Claudia Johnson in a little while, but somebody's asking, how much does CSEC now cost per subject? Mr.
I have a breakdown of the fees. The one subject costs $175, I believe.
$175 for one subject?
Yeah, but you remember there's the registration fee, the subject fee, and there's a third fee that I'm not getting off the top of my head. But after that it increases by about $45 per subject. Okay. So just give me a second. I can load the exact values, and I can send that over to you. So just give me 1 second. And
okay. While you do that, you can put it in the chat. You can put it in the chat so we can maximize the time. I want to invite Jillian Claudia. You said here, Jillian Claudia Johnson. I would love to mentor a young sister. I'm a school guidance counselor. I think you graduated in my year. It's so nice to see you. So tell us a little bit of the work that you do in Grenada and how you see you can, further the cause that you've just identified.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes.
Dr.
Evening.
Grenade.
Yes.
We are from the same year.
Yes, we are. Let me see you now.
I was not prepared for this.
No problem. No problem.
Okay. As a schools guidance counselor, I see a dire need for mentorship in all of our schools. And I have a heart for girls, for young girls. I don't know. I just have a heart for young girls. They need, our girls, our Grenadian girls, they need a lot of guidance in terms of finding their true potential, understanding their selves. There is so much that is happening around them that is, is not exemplary. So many parents who are even supposed to know better, they are having expectations of these girls and they're not being examples themselves. So having come from a background of, not having a lot, having gone through my own personal experiences, I think I can contribute towards a young sister in that way. To share my own work, share my own experiences, and my experiences even to date as a teacher, as a guidance counselor.
Yes, thanks so much. And I think one of the outcomes from this, Claudia, I see you have Jillian as your name, but I remember yours, Claudia, is that we could have a skills bank. We could actually have a skills bank of the AHS alumni. So we can say, okay, if we're thinking about social workers, psychologists, guidance counselors, this is a skills bank. This is where people are. And this is how we could form clusters around issue areas so that we could further partner and engage with the school. Jada is saying in the chat, one subject is $124, which includes entry fee of $49, subject fee of $50, and local fee of $25. Let me continue down the chat. Someone is saying, Rosalind Grant, when the alumni think tank becomes active, I would truly like to be part of this. This educational reform is such a critical pillar. And we could form a cluster. In fact, around the 7 pillars, we would form clusters. So there is a form available. Indicate on that form that you would like to be part of the alumni think tank. And that think tank, educational reform, could be one dimension of it. Yeah, so if you indicate that on the form, then someone would contact you and we would start forming clusters together. We want to be action oriented. We are tired with talk. And as a high school family, we know we just talk. But action must be part of what must define us going forward. Now, it's any other hand? Anybody has any other idea, any other suggestion? If not, I want to spend, if we could spend 3 to 5 minutes. Oh yeah, I see a hand. Let's see the name here. Sandra Pierre. Go right ahead, Sandra Pierre.
I just wanted to add, if there's going to be a database with past pupils, if we can use that database. I know someone talked about a GoFundMe, but if we can use that database to send out just an update and an opportunity to donate to the school. And that's how I donate to my other schools. I forget about everything else, but then every now and again, I get a newsletter about something that's happening. And there's always that opportunity to donate at a minimum of $20 or whatever. And if there's a constant reminder, I think we'll get a lot more donations. So if that's one of the things that we can add to the.
Very good suggestion. Sue, do we have a database? As Kimika, I see your hand, and I see a hand from Janice Jakes. But Sue, just tell us, do we have a database?
We have a partial database from the registration of the 100th anniversary, but we'll work with the Past Pupils Association, see what they have there. But in the meantime, those who we may, to match the two and create that updated database, what we'll suggest, those of you fill out the form on the Past Pupils website, ahspastpupils.org, select other, and then type in the area of interest you would need. Fortunately, I put this form together yesterday, not realizing it was only allowing me to do one option that you would select. So any other, you could make as many entries, and then that way we'll put it together and then get this database going. And that goes also for the GoFundMe as well. We have some email addresses, so we could reach that way. And that's how we were able to get this going today. So it was fun.
So I'm taking a note of outcomes here, because we want to be outcomes driven. We have to reactivate the database, and we have to ensure we have a skills bank. So I would take 2 more questions. So thanks for that suggestion. It was a very good suggestion. So is Janice Jakes a new hand, Kimika? And then is it Janice Jakes? Yes.
Yeah.
Kimika?
Yes. It seems that there is a huge cost for the CXC exam. What I'm trying to establish is how much would it cost, for example, for a student sitting 10 subjects? I notice a lot of students are sitting anywhere between 12 and 14 subjects. And if it costs $124 per subject, that's a huge cost. Is there a baseline fee and then a certain amount per subject after that? How much would taking 10 subjects cost?
124 with 0. Mr. Russell John, good question. Thanks for the question, Janice.
I'll just jump in here. So it's 124 for one, and then it's $50 per subject after that. The average student this year is doing roughly 8 subjects. So we have naturally some below and some above, but you walk into a room, you pick a student, she's doing about 8 subjects, so that's going to cost her about $474.
Okay.
If you were doing 10, it would cost $524. Sorry, $574.
And that's EC?
EC, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, thanks. And if a parent has two children, as a parent might have a son in PBC and a daughter in AHS, so it becomes very costly indeed.
We're also
Yeah, sorry.
seeing a
Go
lot
ahead.
of twins at the Anglican High School.
Oh, twins.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes,
Wendy?
Kimika?
All right. So I just wanted to highlight that when you're making a contribution, or even if you select a particular student that you would like to mentor or contribute financially to throughout the length of her career at the Anglican High School, that you're not only helping that one student, because for me in particular, the support that I was getting and the mentorship that I was getting, it had helped me to influence my younger sister, who's only 3 years behind me. And I mean, that's kind of my drive over the years to continue to excel and to make the that were being afforded to me. Because I know I had a younger sister close to me, looking up and seeing me excel. She would want to excel and do well academically as well. So when you're making your contributions, it's not for a particular student. Remember, they have younger students, and most times you have one student and the assistance you give to the older siblings, it also helps a younger sibling as well.
Yes. Thanks for that, Kimika. The economist in you is speaking about the multiplier effect. In that when you give to a household, it inspires those who come after, and then you yourself haven't gotten could then give back to that little sister who's coming up. Not just financially, but she can look at your successes and say, no, I want to be like my sister has been. Yes, someone here, is it Jada in the chat who's saying, I must agree with Kimika, the mentorship I received at the Anglican High School allowed me to help individuals in my community. So we see it's a multiplier and a spillover effect that is quite positive. Camille, yes, go ahead.
Wendy?
Yes, I see Camille. Somebody is.
It's Hillary.
Okay, go ahead, Hillary, yes.
Yes, I would like to make a personal contribution.
Okay. Thank you very much. So it's the how, what we have to work through. We really appreciate this. We would work through the how, then do we get people who want to make personal contributions. So on the form Sue, Hillary could indicate that she wants to make a personal financial contribution, and the follow-up from this becomes very important. We need to have a tight framework that we're working with that would allow us to capture all the contributions that are coming in. So Hillary, we thank you very much for this.
Select other on the form, and Rosalie Meta mentioned she wanted a couple of fees, a gift of mentorship and adopt a child. So select other and then type in the areas that you want to participate in, or financial contribution, or just tell us you want to be on the database.
Okay.
Use that other option on the form.
Okay, great.
The phone, you have your email and you have a name.
Great, okay.
Okay,
Great.
so I see Camille's hand and I see a comment by Lydia Buckmeyer that I want to get to. But Camille, you had your hand up a while. Let's hear.
So I am a very straightforward person. So I'll just say it as it is. Not that I mean anything by it, but I just speak what's on my mind. And I notice when it comes to people, when it comes to spending money, there is always a problem. People are, I don't know if it's a hesitancy, but I know money makes people different. And as I said before, I am a product of the AHS. And I engage because I have I'm in a group chat with members from my graduating class of 99. And some of the discussions that we normally have, that we looking at our time at the high school versus now, was that the past pupils, okay, you went to the Anglican high school, you left, and that's it. Nobody basically, okay, said, I want to come back to give back, or I want to give back. And I am a person who is very big on giving back. I don't care what it costs. If I am needed, and I can afford to, I am going to help. And I remember last year I was having this very conversation with Mrs. Mason Francis in terms of helping the children. And there are quite a few of my friends who I graduated with who teaches at the AHS currently. And I remember I was speaking to Mrs. Blake, and she was basically saying to me, because some of the concerns that who was the individual, Miss Lydia Buckmeyer had, I had it also, in terms of how would I know that the student who needs the help is going to get the help? And basically what she said to me was, Camille, the form teachers always know who has a need. And then I'm like, okay, then yes. So there might be some students who may be well off than others, but everybody is in a situation right now. And when I looked back at it, I'm like, you know what? COVID affected a lot of people. So there were people who may have been in a situation where they could have done certain things, but may not be able to do it right now. When I made my donation to the AHS, I just wanted to do something personal. I did not want to include anybody in it. Miss Paris is on here and she can tell you, I reached out to Mrs. Mason Francis first, and then I reached out to her. I personally made a donation of $4,500 to the AHS. I reached out to my graduating class and I said to them, this is what I plan to do. If there is anybody who is on board who would like to help, please let me know. One of my friends went to her employers and let them know, okay, this is what the situation is. And they made a company donation to the school. I was planning on reaching out to Ms. Paris again to make the same donation that I made last year, which is $4,500 towards paying for exams for the kids again this year. I know because of the situation again, there may be a greater need because as the gentleman had said earlier, I can't remember his name, we were able to assist a little over 20 girls in paying for CXC subjects. I don't think this is a time where one needs to say, okay, how much does one subject cost? How much does this cost? We know there is a need. And that is what I think our focus should be, that there is a need. And we, as the past pupils who are in a position to help, we have to help. That is just how I see it. It's a no-brainer, but then again, how I think not much people would think that way. There is a need, we have to help. You're muted, Wendy.
Sorry, thanks. I was saying thanks for your contribution and your perspective. It's 6:24 and the call ends at 6:30. So I want to get to the way forward, but I see, is it Janice that has, Sandra Pierre wants to make a quick comment? And then we want to tackle the question that Lydia Buckmeyer asked. And then I want to speak briefly about the way forward. Sandra, quickly.
So yeah, it's quickly. It's quick. Just so I understand, Camille, but just so in the interest of transparency, as I said earlier, we really do need to have communications from the school. I think that would alleviate all of the concerns people may have about how do we know it's going there. If there is an itemized list coming from the school to say, this year we're doing this, this is the projects we're embarking on, these are the needs of the school, and this is how you can support, then it's easier for people to donate rather than going to people individually and say, just the school needs it, so just give it to us. So I think if we just make sure that the communication is clear, and the communication is coming from some central body, whether it's an official communication from the Past Pupil Association or an official communication from the school, I think we'll alleviate all of those trustworthiness issues that we're having.
Right. Thanks a lot, Sandra. And I think we can do both. We could have different tracks that we're working with. An individual could decide to donate $1 million and not look back. Someone else could say, I want to ensure that we have systems in place for accountability. So I think when we set up, so I appreciate the comments from all of you. When we set up the committees, when the committees are set up, I'm sure the financial committee would have guidelines. We go in on a basis in terms of need plus scholastic or other achievements and so forth. There should be criteria that we would work with and accountability mechanisms. So for Lydia Buckmeyer's question, how do we make sure the financial help we give goes to students who actually need it? I think the committee that actually deals with that should insist that there is some way that we communicate with the school to get from the school the needs. That doesn't mean people can't give otherwise. But when the committee is set up, I will hope that we have some kind of channel of accountability and transparency so that, in fact, that we know that, in fact, the most needy students will, in fact, get it. And not just a student that somebody likes, but a student who really is in need. So I want to thank all of you for your contributions. And in terms of the way forward, as we were saying all along, we have the form. Indicate on the form. The form is available on the AHS website. And Sue would wrap up in a minute and would give you some more. Judy Chase Marshall, you had your hand up? You want to say something quickly? Judy Chase?
Yes. I was just thinking that a good idea for us to really capture the Adopt a Child program is for us to, from the schools, and for them to kind of make some platform where we can see the children so that we can make some kind of connection with them. Actually, if the child would say, I'm interested in such and such a area of work, we could make that connection so that we form a bond with the child, because right now we don't know where our money is going. I know people think that you should just give, and yes, we will be willing to give, but I think the connection will be more meaningful when we get to know the children and their areas of interest, how motivated they are as learners, so that we can fully support them, not only financially, but to make a bond that will be lasting and meaningful.
Yes, I really like this suggestion. And I think when the mentorship committee is set up, perhaps they could think about having a virtual fair, a virtual career or mentorship fair, where we'd have the students and we'd have the AHSers and we meet in a virtual session. We have breakout groups, for those who may be interested in certain career paths, as the case may be. And I think that is something that could be exciting that we can do. So when the cluster is formed, the mentorship cluster, this is a good idea that we could bring on board connections and connectivities and network forming. How do we meet the students? And we have the technology so that we could actually have a platform that we could connect with them. And you see this one, and it's not like an auction, where you say, oh, I like this little one, I'm going to pick her out. But we don't want to auction. We don't want to auction. Say, oh, I look that one. This one looks like she's in trouble. And this one, no. We want to develop. We want to develop. We had to throw in a little joke. We want to be able to create that environment. So we've taken all your comments on board. Lydia, we've noted your comments, and the financial committee, I think, will build in mechanisms for accountability. Now, the way forward, you have the form, indicate your interest. Let's keep this momentum going. I really want us within a month or so to have a virtual session sponsored by the Anglican High School alumni going nationally, a psychosocial transnational support session where we have psychologists and pastors and social workers and doctors. We have Dr. Alexis in California. We have others. Let's deal with some of the questions and concerns that people have, some of the fears. The psychosocial support is very important in a crisis. And I think, as I said earlier, we are part of an Anglican high school family, but that family is part of a large Grenadian community. And we cannot divorce the Anglican high school from the society that produces it and sustains it. So I would think we could be an activist group and have a session or sessions where I went to one on Friday night virtually by the Catholic Church, and it was a blessing. They were just speaking about, different aspects of the vaccine, about COVID, about support for people where you can get support and different things, because a lot of people are fearful and broken, and we have to be able to deal with that as well. So I know, Pupil Griffith, you said that you were interested. We will work with those of you who are, indicate on the chat, indicate on the form if you're interested in this psychosocial support group. And we try to convene a virtual session within this quarter. So we'll form the clusters. Whatever you indicate on the form, someone will contact you. We form committees and we will be action oriented, outcomes oriented. And remember I said at the beginning, we can't do everything, but we want to work smart. We want to be impactful as we can be. And it's about the coalition of the willing. All of us wouldn't be interested in everything, and all of us wouldn't be interested in anything sometimes. A coalition of the willing, doing one bit at a time to see how impactful we can be. And again, we'll continuously meet. Perhaps somebody was saying on the chat that we need to do this again. Perhaps in another 2 months or so, we could formalize part of the outcomes. We want a skills bank. We want to reactivate the database. We want to form the clusters and follow up in each cluster. And an urgency is the funding. So the students, as they are paying for their exams in October, we want to have as an urgent agenda item funding for our students for October. So on this note, I want to really thank all of you who contributed. And I will hand over at this point. I noticed Miss Kim Paris is with us. I know you're not feeling too well, and we hope that you recover soon. I don't know if she's there now. No, is Miss Paris with us? No, I don't think I'm seeing her.
Yes, doctor.
I'm not putting you on the spot. If you can and you want to give a greeting.
There's a little cough there, but sure.
No, we don't have to put you on the spot. We don't
that's not a little cough.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dr.
Grenade, yes.
Really not in it.
I didn't hear what she said.
Yeah, she said it's a bit comfy. Yes,
it's a bit difficult. Okay, we understand.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was a good session.
Chest cleared. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Godspeed, Miss Paris, and you're in our prayers. So I'll turn over now to Sue Patrice. It's just a little after 6:30. We've gone over time. So Sue, just wrap it up for us. So thanks to all of you.
Thank you very much, Wendy, and to get this going, and all of you. We just, Junior, we're on his ride-along streaming platform. Yes. We appreciate his services for putting this together for that with me as a novice in this virtual environment. We were very appreciative that he stepped up. Lincoln High School, but he supported high school girls all through the 100th anniversary. So we thank him services for coming on board with us. But before we end, Mr. John mentioned the New York group made a donation of the equipment. And we have that video because we wanted to share it as a what gave back. So let's run that video, and then I close out with a comment.
Ms. Paris, Ms. Thomas, on behalf of the Anglican High School alumni in New York, it's with great pleasure I present this check of 8,000 US for the purchase of this wonderful printer. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank all our supporters who have contributed to this. And we look forward to your continuing support. Thank you.
On behalf of management, staff, students, and on my own behalf, I extend sincerest appreciation to the AHS Past Pupils Association of New York. We are very much appreciative of this gesture, whereby we were able to procure lithograph in a timely manner at a time when it was most needed, and this became possible through the assistance of Ms. Julie Thomas and the connection she made up at New York. So we are very, very grateful to all those who contributed to this. And for this, we extend best wishes to you as we continue to work together to build the Anglican High School. Thank you very much.
Okay, just to wrap up, I just want to let you know who are the members of the New York. Ariane Campbell Clark, Maureen Clouden, Sharon Coutain, Velma Cox, Jennifer Gibbs, Carol Jones, Sonia Lett, and Medford, Maria Mitchell, Yolande Peters, Rosemary Steele, Stewart, Jennifer Vivek, and of we know all of you who have supported functions that the New York group has done over the years, and all of that part of the contribution. So we thank you very much. Just to close down, before we play, we have to play the school song. All right, we remind you, we quickly put up the form on the website, ahspastpupils.org. Select other, and you could make all the comments of areas of interest or just want to help in the planning of these clusters. And then that way we'll get back to you and we can start putting some things together. Other than that, Ezra now has a tribute that we need to share with you. We think it's so appropriate at this time before we close into the school song.
Thank you, Sue. Again, it was a pleasure having you all on tonight's call to action, and I'm so happy to see so many of you, and I'm waiting to see how this will turn out because I'm very elated to really to get us on foot to run with this call to action. And there was a poem or a tribute penned by one of our very own. She's here tonight, Jillian. And I thought it was very timely, very, very timely. And I will just read it out here. My alma mater, the Anglican High School, renowned for strict rule, a vintage school for girls, turning out the best of pearls, academics, sports, or character. To shape the best, trust her. Celebrating 105. And hear this, keeping integrity, intelligence, and purpose alive. Happy 105 AHS. And she's class of 84. And I think this is timely because in order for us to keep integrity, intelligence, and purpose alive, that's the reason why we are here in this call for action. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So we come to an end. Junior, again, thank you for your services. For those of you in the New York area, he also streamed for funerals, weddings, and all the various services in the New York area. But he's available for these online streaming as well. So we thank you very much. You're on your right on live platform. So we'll end with the school song, and then as we close down, Junior, you could end with Jerusalem afterwards as we wrap up. Thank you again, Dr. Grenade, John, Jada, Kamita, Ezra. Thanks for popping in, and we got this. And all the past pupils and friends are out there. I'm seeing some of you out there. Thank you for coming on board, and we'll work on this together.
We're all singing.
This our song we raise to you. Realize the things of beauty, what we think or say or do. Teach us ever to remember those last days of heaven and home, as we peace and train us up for living, that we may reflect your grace to each generation given, when in turn we
Woo!
Jerusalema ikayalami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana Jerusalema ikayalami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze zuhambe nami Jerusalema ikayalami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana Jerusalema ikayalami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana dawo yami ayalami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana Jerusalema ikayalami ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana dawo yami ayikholana buso wami awukholana ilondoloze uhambe nami zungangishilana Jerusalema ikayalami